Folks, hello and welcome to Gamers Health. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor of the Tenkar's Tavern blog. With me is none other than Rach, my lovely wife.
Hello.
Just making sure of the audio settings. Okay. We had to do a last minute reboot because the computer was a little funky. Not funky like all of the Microsoft issues. I understand a lot of airlines are still canceling flights. This is going to have long-term repercussions. Thank you, Ton. I'm assuming you mean Rachel looks good, but I'll accept the compliment that I look good.
Well, what did he say?
You look good. Oh, you sound good. Never
Okay.
mind. I thought you said I sound good.
You sound good.
I look good. I never mind.
Or we look like we're not glitching out. So that's
Yeah.
good.
It didn't look right. It didn't look right before, and I was like, ah, crap.
Yeah, we just kept like freezing in the
So I was like,
camera frame.
I probably need a reboot. That solves 9 out of 10 problems, right?
Isn't that usually the thing? Just turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yeah.
Unplug it sometimes.
Yeah, my mother was having a problem with her Yahoo email on her tablet. I was just like, close the app, reopen the app. There you go. It all works. Kind of like the same deal.
Yeah, poor thing. She was convinced that it wasn't working because of the micro stuff.
Well, yeah, she was insisting it was. You don't have a Microsoft device. It could be Yahoo. They could certainly have issues.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that Discord was going to have issues at first, but no, it wasn't Discord. It was us having some issues here, but we cleared up those issues. Tissues. I don't need no stinking tissues. So, Tom, welcome. So, last week, or this past week, was a week with minimal doctor's appointments. I shouldn't say none. I was about to say none.
Well, none for us.
None for us. I had my father.
Really?
Yeah, I had to take my father to cardiologist. He goes same cardiologist I see. He goes.
Yeah, you got to keep it in family.
Yeah, he goes every 6 months. And they want him to come back for a stress test, and he's excited. It's not a chemical stress test.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he gets to go on the treadmill.
Yeah, so Tammy, welcome. He gets excited about that.
So he'll be up like several times before September comes. Can I just go on your treadmill?
I got to practice.
Yes. So cute.
So, but when he got his initial appointment, my mother was like, "You can't go that day." It was actually two things. It was his birthday, which I could see.
Not wanting to get. Oh, he might not have the.
She didn't want him going on his birthday.
Yeah, he might not have to get the IV.
But also the summertime, they're back and forth to Pocono. She didn't know if they were going to be up. She wanted to delay until September. Once I heard that, I had to pull out the sheet. Our schedule, the sheet.
Yep.
And I hung out, and they're making the appointment, and it's all you can tell they were basically going from. I was surprised they could make the scheduled appointment anyway, because a lot of these medical facilities are having issues because of the crowd strike, the Microsoft issue, and they didn't have his insurance information, a lot of stuff that they were asking. I knew, but I made sure, and then my father goes, "Oh, hold on, let me ask my son. Hey, what's a good day?" So I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm like, "Well, Rach is already at the same facility, seeing her GP on his one day.
Yeah,
let's see if we can get that at 12:00." They're like, "Fine." I'm like, "Holy crap, that is so awesome." that because honestly, that means I killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
And when you're covering the doctor's appointments for 4 people, my mother doesn't have much.
She basically goes once a year.
Right. To her general practitioner, or her primary. I used to call it a GP, but now they call it a primary. I don't get it.
I think too in England maybe they call it more, or in Europe they call it more GP. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Wow.
But we used to call it that a lot here. Yeah.
You know, and I call it like I call my GP. I'm like, what's your GP?
But then primary care. It's like, it's going to be an internal medicine.
Well, and I guess the primary care is because everything has to be prior authorization.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, not with any of the insurance that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, since I'm married, haven't had to get any
prior
referral.
I need to see a specialist. Go see a specialist.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this doctor. I wouldn't even know how to go about that.
What do you mean go about that?
How would you call up and make an appointment? It's like you have to say I was referred by, or does the referring doctor need to make your appointment for you? I don't know.
No, they usually give you the information. They give you a referral letter or something like that.
Oh,
because they will at the next place they will ask for that.
Crap and crapola. I don't care about none of that wacky stuff.
Yeah, and then also they have to help you find one that's like your plan takes.
Yeah. Well, that helps. Yeah. So, it's getting darker earlier, and it's also we're overcast.
Maybe a tiny bit, but
and it's also an overcast day.
I was reading that the days are getting longer.
Can't be
in general because of the global warming.
That makes no
climate
sense.
Change. I don't know where
that makes no
maybe
sense.
Maybe on the Apple News.
That sounds like new math.
Yeah, maybe that was BuzzFeed. I don't know who did it. Maybe BuzzFeed.
Anyway, BuzzFeed. Sounds like crap, Rach. Sounds like crap. So actually, hold on. I'm gonna do a show and tell. Behind me, there's a box. The box of the. All right, so. Listen, we're making no money off this. There's no affiliate links, but if you're a diabetic, RX Sugar, we first found them. They were mentioned on a
Thomas D. What's his?
I
can't remember his. Yeah, he's like a nutritionist, and he's brilliant, and he's like a bodybuilder too.
Right. So he was talking about RX Sugar, and they have what is essentially like a candy bar, which is really good. I like to leave them in the fridge before we eat them, just to cool them off and they eat. They come in different flavors: salted caramel, chocolate, vanilla.
The mint one I like.
Mint, chocolate, like a chocolate mint. So we've been trying those. We have them at night.
And they're sort of like a texture of like maybe a Charleston Chew or something like that.
Compared with Charleston Chew,
but better quality.
/ Twix. It had a little feel of both of them.
Oh, Twix, I guess, because of the shape and size,
and a little bit of
but not really any biscuity thing.
I guess not. So they had we found a 2-for-1 deal on their site for flavored allulose sugar. Now I ordered this thinking, hey, that will make good drink mixes, and they do. Although for the 32 ounce,
and it says on the box you could use it for fondant.
Well, I'm going to tell you what the box says. All right. Mm-hmm. So, but that's how I was thinking. That's usually what you do when you get like these. But the ingredients are allulose, natural flavor, malic acid, citric acid. So basically, this is relatively clean. I know natural flavors aren't all that natural necessarily, but so you get 30 sticks in here, so 6 of each flavor, and the flavors are sweet tea. And if it's sweet tea, you're thinking to yourself already, well, hey, it's sweet tea. It's got to be a drink mix. Fruit punch, lemon, lime, orange, raspberry. So, and again, I took 2 of these sticks, and they're bigger than what you would expect if you're thinking of a drink mix.
Well, yeah, and
because
the granulation of it,
right?
Yeah,
so they're like it's a granulated.
It's not finely
sugar.
milled. It's very grainy. Yes,
dissolves well though in water. So I used 2 packets to make a nice drink mix, which was actually nice. But we tried like the orange one, and that would be like this one, because it does say on the box directions: consume RX Swelthy sticks like candy. pour directly in your mouth or into your hand.
Mm.
Delicious and non-GMO. And you know what?
I have the raspberry one waiting. For
It
a little
really,
later.
it really was very much like if you remember those old like pixie sticks,
Pixie stick.
or the Lickimades, which
Fun dip.
Fun Dip, but I think the company it was Fun Dip / Lickimade. It's very similar to that, and I feel like a kid.
Mm.
And 0 calories, 0 carbs.
It's fun to have a little nostalgia and
Yep.
not pay
Now,
a big price.
something else. I am not 100% sure how well this is working, but they advertise some probiotics as being GPL1 like. In other words,
GLP-1.
GLP-1. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it should be like
so
the
this
injectables.
is the receptor in your gut that, I guess, oh my god,
deals
with like
hunger.
Well,
and breaking down the
and the insulin
carbs
response
and the
too,
insulin
right?
response. What is it got? No, so GPL1?
GLP-1. So GLP-1 is like they refer to this class
it's
of
like
medicines
it's like
as,
Ozempic.
yeah, as GLP-1,
Mounjaro.
like semaglutide.
But what it actually is, it's a prebiotic. And I was like,
yeah, I guess the GLP-1 is the receptor in your gut.
So I was like a little
in your
but I will admit I've had some stomach issues. I will call them loose bowels off and on. And I can usually chalk that up to either postnasal drip or all the medications that especially I am on, that can upset your stomach. So I figured, you know what, a probiotic or a prebiotic would only help with that. Well, started it on Thursday and haven't had any stomach issues. And my blood sugar has been much more steady. Like today, my mother wanted to throw an early birthday party for me. Birthday's not for a week and a half, but they're going to be in the Poconos. So my sister came over with my brother-in-law, and we did the party, and it was hamburgers and franks and salads, and I didn't touch the pasta salads, but I did have a hamburger with a bun, a frank with a bun. I had I had a mozzarella and bean and tomato salad, which I love, and that's low carb. And then I had 2 eclairs for dessert, and my blood sugar didn't go above 170. And right now it's been bouncing between 135, 145, and I'm very happy. So you can go on Amazon and do a search for it. That's what I saw it advertised on Facebook, and I've learned something very important about Facebook ads. They can show some legitimate stuff.
But always look on Amazon.
Always look at Amazon. Because you can often find the exact same thing
for half the price.
Yeah. So, but listen, you'll never see a doctor tell you don't take a probiotic. I've always had doctors suggest me to take probiotic. Oh, you take this medication, it does this to your gut, and so.
Ooh, maybe I should be taking it.
Yeah, well, Rich, you can take it. We got plenty.
Oh, all right, I'll take a bottle.
Okay.
And what, you just take it in the morning?
It says take it with a meal, which makes
once
sense.
a day.
Once a day with a meal. In the case of the one that I got, it's supposed to be 2 capsules once a day, but you might want to start off on 1 capsule once a day and build up. But gut health is very important. But my blood sugar, well, you saw today, this afternoon, after early mid-afternoon, my blood sugar went down under 70.
Yeah.
But then by standing up and walking around, my blood sugar, bounced up, went down to actually went down last night too, but just by the act of getting up and going to the bathroom, my blood sugar went up. I didn't have to take anything for it, which I was
good.
pleasantly surprised by. But listen, blood sugar is something that I find I'm always trying to tweak. I'm always trying to find what works or works best, and I'm on 3 different medications which work well together, and the Januvia I take at night, and I was kind of because I was like I can't take them all at once, and my doc was Tammy, you've got type 2. Oh, Tom has type 2. I have type 2. I believe so. So I am a type 2 diabetic, which means in theory, theoretically, it is something that is not just treatable but curable. Um, so and thank you, Mr. Conservation Mana himself, Tim. They call me Tim. Yes, so Tim. Yes, probiotics are good stuff. Now they also advertise. I think you've seen it like for the probiotics. If you've watched any videos online, seed. But if you go to Thrive Market, thrive.com, Thrive has their own version of seed. Now, seed is a prebiotic and a probiotic in one, and it's got multiple layers.
Yes.
So when it goes through your system, one layer opens up, and then it goes deeper into your gut, and the other layer opens up. Well, Thrive has a very similar, if not identical, product called Spore. And Spore is about half the price of seed. So if you haven't gone to Thrive Market, again, not a sponsor of this channel, but it's a great place to go. Thrive is great to find all different kinds of healthier alternatives. So I can't recommend it enough. Now, people always say you should drink more water, so Rach found these. I guess they are double-walled stainless steel circles of 32-ounce variety.
They came with some new flavors too.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
So that was at Walmart. What was that? $25 for that, and
and 2 cartridge.
Very.
This cartridge is
such a new flavor. It's not even
passion fruit, dragon fruit. Yeah.
So.
And the other flavor that came with mine was strawberry because they were kind of embracing the pink theme.
So we wanted picking up those when we were in Walmart. We do enjoy our circles. We've been using them
for about a year now.
For about a year off and on. So they're a good alternative to
if you get bored with water sometimes.
Right. There are 0 calorie.
There's times where I'll stay drinking water for a while, and then we'll get some sort of tea, instant tea or whatever, and then I'll get hooked on that, and then that'll be done, and then I'll just go back to water, or and then these we'll restock the things, and so it's always different, but making sure you get your water.
Yeah. Tim is saying beans are also a good prebiotic. That's pretty good. I'm assuming things like kidney beans and somewhere. I happen to like my beans. Rach probably prefers it when I don't eat too many of them, but that's besides the point. That's life married to a 10-car. Climbing that mountain. There's a probiotic specifically for blood sugar, but they charge $150 for a month's supply. Supposedly, it will reduce A1C by 0.7 to 1 point. Seems more like a luxury supplement. Well, I think that's what these are being advertised as.
Yeah,
but they weren't priced that horribly. They were. I think I would be able to get 4 bottles for about $40. think it was about $10 a bottle, which is why I ordered the 4 bottles.
That's the sad part. That it's gate. You have to gatekeep it
Yeah. Oh,
You
it
know,
doesn't cost. And
through being cost prohibitive for a lot of people.
right, and there are a number of different brands. If you go to Amazon and you punch in, was it I say is it GLP or GPL?
GLP-1.
Ah, you see, I was going to get it right this time. GLP-1 in Amazon. Um, maybe I will actually, do that search real quick. GLP-1 supplement for weight loss or GLP-1 for weight loss. And they do have ones that are
I don't see the
more
one that
expensive.
came to the house yet.
Yeah,
It's blue, no?
yeah, it's blue. I also got it during Prime Day sale.
Oh.
Here's the one that I got.
Where?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, it's gone up in price,
Oh man.
but the one that I got.
Your first taste is cheaper.
Yeah,
And
well,
now we're gonna be hooked.
well, again, I got it on Prime Day, which been deeply discounted. But the bottles right now are $38 for a 60 count, which would
So that's a full 2 months.
well, full 1 month.
Oh, because you take two.
But I'm sure you could probably do it with one. They have other stuff, but that would be the one that I actually got, which was the Ackermansia, something like that. But it wasn't that expensive on Prime Day. Ivy just said she prefers when I don't eat too many beans either. I mean, that's
Thank you, Ivy.
yes. I think that's many of the ladies out there like you stop eating those
We're in
beans.
solidarity.
I like my mother makes a very good bean and tomato salad with mozzarella, and I could eat that for 2 out of my 3 meals and a snack. However, Rach would probably ask that I not eat that much of it. Just saying, it's good in protein. It's low in carbs. It's probably a very well balanced meal into and unto
Yes.
itself. But yeah. So I'm trying to think what else. So our garden doth groweth nicely. we packed we packed we picked a large amount of tomatoes yesterday.
We even had a pepper, which surprised us.
Nice size
We didn't think
green
we
pepper.
had any yet.
Yes. We've got 2 watermelons coming that are
Like one is like this, and the other one's like
yeah.
that.
So we got 2 watermelons coming.
So
Lots
that'll
of
be
tomatoes.
exciting.
So like today when my mother made the burgers, we actually had slices of beefsteak tomato on them from the garden that were larger than the
And that was
hamburger
a hit.
patties.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was a
god,
definite hit.
that's the way to do it. Not those tomatoes that ship green and ripen along the way that you're getting at your fast food restaurants. I mean, these were deep red. So, and then on our garden, we have our sunflower is probably
Yay!
a couple of days from blooming. We've got 7 or 8 jalapenos coming. The sweet peppers are blooming, so hopefully some more sweet peppers coming. These are the original pepper plants, by the way. I can't believe they're still producing. Unbelievable. Our peas are looking good. Our mini squash. I'm wondering how the mini squash will come out. I just figured
That should be interesting.
I think we had to try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not sure what's going to happen with our squash outside. So
Yeah, I don't know if it's handling the heat all that well.
yeah.
TXG, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, all right. I guess it's about that time. We will transition. That sounds awkward. But we are going to get to the way we generally set this up is we give you a recap and a current event in our lives, what's going on, and health wise and garden wise. And, oh, by the way, Rachel's knees. I almost forgot.
Yeah, they're getting better. I've been taking a leave.
Which, by the way, I can't. I have heart issues. I can't take a leave anymore. But when I didn't have heart issues, at least I didn't know I had heart issues, I would take a leave for my lower back pain, my sciatica, and my God, it would take, if that day was around a 6 or a 7, like just it's a bad day, it would take it down to maybe a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. So if you're starting at a 4, it would take it down to a 2 or maybe not even noticeable. So she's been taking a leave.
So they leave, and we got this glucosamine, like not just glucosamine, it's a bunch of different supplements. It's called osteobiflex. and I guess there's a good bit of boswellia in there too. So, I've been taking it for the last 3 days, and so far so good. It's been easier to walk on. What the real test will come when we walk outside in the park tomorrow,
Yep.
or whenever we're able to go,
weather permitting.
Yeah, with the dog. So but like right now it feels pretty good, and like I was just doing like my exercises over there, and then I was like, all right, let's see, what would it be like if I just like go over into like a tabletop, so that I could see how I'm doing and if I could weight bear on it in that way. As a way of trying to sort of get back to yoga. Tomorrow I'll probably try to like push back into child's pose and see if the knee is able to do that, because that was something that I definitely couldn't do before. So we will see.
If you haven't noticed, give Rach an inch, and she demands to take back that mile almost immediately.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, I want to go back to my class and do the same shit I did before this all happened.
So if you don't be surprised if I'm like standing there in the doorway going, Rachel, be careful, take it slowly. Because that's my job.
Yeah.
Right? That's if you're a spouse, if you're a friend, or you're a family member, your job is to keep the person who refuses to be held back, and that, by the way, is just Rach in general.
Yeah.
Refuses to be held back. Make sure they don't go too fast.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying. So, I was just saying the last week, the last month of your 24-hour news cycle.
Oh God.
Has been insane. All right. And I'm going to delve into politics, but it's not taking a political stance. Just to talk about what's going on. RPG Grandma, welcome. in the world. At least, and if you only got your news from watching the networks, I don't even care if you're only watching evening news. I don't care if you're watching 24/7 cable news.
You're feeling like the networks are just as bad as CNN.
Well, because they gotta push it into 30 minutes, but they're gonna be talking the same shit.
Yeah, as the MSNBC folks.
Yeah, they're all talking the same shit, but
it's so hard to find just something down the middle now. Right. Where like back in the day when we would, we always like, I think we kind of got out of the habit of reading newspapers, when I was in school, and oh, well, they said this on the news, and then the teacher would tell you, no, you have to read the news.
But Walter Cronkite told me.
But yeah,
Dan Rather told me
that was like the middle, and you kind of felt like, oh no, they're not biased. They're just saying what it is. They're just saying what the news is. But it just makes you wonder. It's like, has this always been going on? Yeah, that there was always a slant, or did it become more slanted in the last 10 years?
Well, I think it's become more slanted uh, with the advent of social media
Mm-hmm.
and the YouTube platform and similar stuff.
Mm.
Because listen, I've been accused of covering gaming news while giving my opinions and assumptions. And when I spitball, when I go,
Yeah.
when I say, "Hey, this is the news event in our community," and then I go, "And here's where I think it may be going," I tell you, all right, I presented the news, and now I tell you what I think this means. Does it mean I'm right? No, but I'll explain that. From what I've already seen, maybe my sources at XY have confirmed, denied. But
Or
you
because there's a history of this behavior, or, you've seen it in the past, or,
right.
yeah.
So Tammy Cronkite, yes, that's the way it is. RPG Grandma, they endlessly repeat and no attempt to research or not spin a PR campaign
Yes, it feels that way.
per their personal beliefs. So,
Mhm.
listen, I've already warned people, and as an aside, I made this announcement on the Facebook, and I've already told people, listen, unless I know you personally, unless you're somebody that I've directly communicated with, which is pretty much anybody in the chat right here, or anybody I know directly, anybody I've had PMs with. Unless I know you personally, we've met at cons, and your feed is not necessarily totally, but your feed is becoming a large part of it, becoming political. I'm going to unfollow you. All right, that's what I've been doing, and I made an announcement. Not snooze for 30 days, because I'm not going to snooze people every 30 days when the election's in November. I don't have that fucking patience. If you are, and I don't care whether you're left or right, I don't need to hear shit that, even if I agree with it, I'm just tired of it. And and this is because of last week's attempt. I said, if you are an advocate of violence for political gain, for political aims,
And honestly, how much do you gain from a lot of the stuff that they're spinning and throwing out there?
you don't.
You don't.
But if that's the vile shit that you are sharing on Facebook, I'm unfriending you. I don't care if I know you or not, because you're not a person that I want to be associated with. Just throwing it out there. Um, Tim, they want to be first instead of accurate. Archie Grandma, I try to keep politics off my channel. So, after the debate, right? Um, you if you were like, we don't get much of our news from mainstream TV, but even then, you see the mainstream channels, because anybody who covers news on YouTube takes clips from
Yes.
Fox, CNN, MSNBC.
So you know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So you're seeing the same, but they might comment on it, and you could see after the debate, everything was the conjecture of, is is Biden going to is he going to drop in a race? No, he's not. Is he? Is he? What? 24/7. Uh, you could almost like play Vegas odds, and you're and listen. If I
Well,
was
you
a
do hear about them
Yeah,
quite a lot.
if I was a betting man, I'd want to be watching, and I was betting those odds. You'd want to watch the cable news channels to get the up to the date test of the wind. Where's it going? What's Biden doing? But it becomes addictive. All right, it becomes obsessive. Really, and the reality is, and I'm gonna just throw this out there, for the average American, who your president is, in the end, makes little fucking difference. I'm just saying. My life, whether it's been under a Republican or Democrat, probably hasn't changed all that much one way or the other. I might agree with some policies, I might disagree with other policies, but in the end, it isn't, and I'm not saying that applies to everybody. I'm just saying for the vast majority of Americans, it isn't something that needs to be obsessed over for 6 months. I'm going to just, John, 100% agree. Some people have not figured out that they will never change another person's political beliefs. Of your grandma, my only statements have been violence is not democracy, of believing in voting and dicing, stalking people, their families, or employers are wrong is wrong, especially when they get it wrong half the time. And that was on X. Yes. So after the I'm not worried about being monetized. After the assassination attempt on Trump a week ago, first off, the news networks that want to be first were all like, uh, popping sounds heard and Trump leaves stage. I mean, I didn't watch it live, but
Trump falls after he hears
loud noises.
loud noises. Yeah.
When I watched the video of it, to me, it was obvious what was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most Americans listen. If you live in a city, you've heard gunfire.
Right.
You can, and you generally understand. And if you live in a country, guess what? You've heard gunfire.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your neighbors taking pot shots at a target in their backyard. You've heard gunfire. If you're an American and you've watched TV and watched any TV shows, you've heard gunfire. What happened was pretty obvious, but none of these stations initially wanted to be nobody wanted to be the first one, believe it or not, to say that there was an assassination attempt on the former president. And now, a week later, your news cycle is non-stop about the assassination attempt and non-stop about will Biden drop out of the race? And it's gotten to the point.
Will he make the best decision?
Yes. To grandma, I know there are people were screaming and ducking for cover, and that's what made those headlines stupid.
Yes.
If you're there, you definitely knew what was going on. You weren't like, huh?
Yeah, you knew.
But and I'll be the first to admit it. I have Rich and I have XM radio and XM Sirius radio in our car, and until the assassination attempt, I never turned on.
We never turned Fox or any news or
like whether it was Fox or CNN. I can't stomach MSNBC. I am sorry, but I can.
I think we're gonna have to go back to classic vinyl and classic rewind and
but because the New
Wave channel.
Well, and part of it, is that you're in the car. If you listen, first thing
if you listen not long enough, it just repeats and repeats. Like maybe after 20 minutes.
It reminds me of when before satellite radio, 20 years ago when I used to commute to work, a lot of times I'd have 10-10 winds on in New York.
Yes, that's notorious for
you give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world. They weren't lying.
No.
You needed to give them 22 minutes. And then you were probably good for the next 4 or 5 hours, unless then the new event would come up that would go into the rotation. Whether you're watching Fox or CNN or MSNBC, the reality is make it through 1 or 2 commercial breaks and it's all going to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of commercial breaks, for some reason, when you're watching TV, maybe it's because you wander off and you don't necessarily pay attention to the commercials, but when you're driving and you have to listen to the fucking commercial, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of commercials. TXG, the problem we have now is the conspiracy bullshit. It'll take time to find out exactly what happened. RPG Grandma, I'm watching protesters in England to try to spice it up. grandma, just people filming the insanity. So yes, and the conspiracy theory. eh, Listen, every conspiracy has
A basis.
a grain of truth attached to it.
Right.
All right, it's where you take that.
How far it's come
How,
from that.
right. I mean, like with the assassination attempt, I did 20 years in law enforcement. I have done, especially in my early years, in the late 90s, I did details. I was detailed to the Million Youth March, which was about, it's probably about 10, 15,000 people. But that was in Harlem, and we secured every rooftop with view of the stage because, and it wasn't that there was politicians up there. These were people that generally were very, the speakers were very angry individuals that probably didn't like people of my complexion. Well, I know they didn't because they told me that. But we secured all the roofs with ESU counter snipers to make sure nothing happened. So how do you not do something similar at an event for an ex-president?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it as, wow, this is a one hell of a failure.
Right. You guys went through all that to keep activists safe.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
we can't do half of that to keep a presidential candidate safe.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that there's a conspiracy behind it. I mean, what do they say? Uh, don't assume ill intent when incompetence can suffice. It could be that not the rank and file agents. It could be that just the supervisors and the Secret Service are unqualified. It could be that they are incompetent. Um, I'd rather believe that than any potential
Then
conspiracy.
intention of
Right.
sorts, yeah.
But all if you listen, I will freely admit that we haven't turned on Fox News on our TV or CNN or MSNBC, but we go through our usual channels, whether it's Crowder or Jimmy Dore or Russell Brand, and you're going to get this in those feeds because this is the news story, and it's a news story that won't die. So how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that? Um, Honestly, they play this very well because they know it is instant views. They know that it is instant eyes, and something like YouTube, that's money, and something like
Right.
Fox, CNN, headline news, MSNBC, that's ratings, and ratings converts later on down the line to getting more money from your sponsors. You know, uh, TXG, Hanlon's Razor. Okay. Up to your grandma. Yeah, the tactical choices were bad. Are not my country's policy, but incompetence happens and ego pissing contests.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was the grassy knoll shooter. He's now 1 for 2 for headshots.
Oh shit.
Oh, jeez. That was who said it?
Tabletop?
Yes, you called it, Rach. You just knew it. Yes. TXG, fear sells. Yes,
Yeah.
fear does sell. And listen, as we are going into the elections, you can be damn well sure that every news network knows that by amping up the distrust of the government, of amping up the distrust of those who have a political leaning that's not your direction,
Yeah.
that all they are doing is gaining more views. They are gaining, essentially, what they're expecting to gain is more money. I mean, think back to uh, 2016 through 2020, the Trump years.
Mm.
Cable news was high on life. They were printing money because Trump was constant news, whether he said something.
Right, because the fear mongering and all the, the mean tweets.
The mean tweets, the impeachments, the
Mhm,
investigations. Whether you believed in them or not, you were glued to your TV.
Yeah.
The worst thing for cable news was Trump not getting reelected. And they might not tell you this.
Never.
They might not act like it, but whether it's Fox who appears to lean right, whether it's CNN who appears to lean left, whether it's MSNBC, which I'm not even going to tell you, figure that one out for yourself. They all want Trump to get reelected. They'll tell you otherwise, but they want him back because Biden is a snore fest when it comes to news. They were forced to ignore.
Well, it makes them have to work in some ways.
Well, it makes them, but it also makes them complicit to. Oh, he had cognitive issues and we never covered it.
Really?
So
wow.
So
he looked so bad in the debate. I wonder why.
It's a cold, I tell you. Fauci told me it's a cold. But I mean, they want somebody, and I'm going to use a word that's going to be that they can target, and they can target without feeling guilty. They couldn't when the mass media starts targeting Joe Biden, it's because they want him out.
Yes.
But they don't necessarily want him out because they want another Democrat. The reality is, if Trump loses re-election, they lose a good chunk of their audience. If Trump wins the election, they get to play the opposition, and that's what they're excited about. And personally, for me, I'd rather not get my news directly from mainstream media. I'd rather not be rewarding them for their fear mongering. I'd rather go
and lack of research and work.
Yeah. If your grandma, turn the news off and watch folks filming dumpster fires elsewhere. Seriously, the English managed to murder. Just watched a guy wander into a crime scene. The copper said lots of chopped up body parts were being found in that area. So perspective, it's not just us.
Yeah, no.
I mean, honestly, to go back a bit to my own policing career, my 2 weeks out of the academy, my first DOA crime scene was somebody shot in the head in his apartment doorway in a huge pool of blood because it was all coming, and it was brain matter everywhere. It was, and as a cop, you've got to pretend that none of this upsets you. All right,
right.
None of this upsets you, and I can tell you, here I am. I don't know, 27 years later, watching a video of the potential assassination attempt, or the assassination attempt that didn't happen because Trump turned his head. And I saw that video where what would have happened if he hadn't turned his head. And I flashed back 27 years because I know what that would have looked like.
Yes.
All right. So, but I would rather catch, again, when you go directly to those main news sources, they are all looking to amp you up. Breaking news! Breaking news! Breaking news! Breaking. How much breaking news can you have during one fucking day? Not much. All right? But everything is breaking news. And you listen to them, they all have their own sound effect for breaking news, right? Oh, this just in. Trump blew his nose and Biden's got COVID. I was like, okay, well, everybody's had COVID. I mean, I'm not worried about that either. But it is something that you have to consciously take a step back from before you become obsessed with it. Like I was happy today when my sister and my brother-in-law were over.
Mm-hmm.
There was no discussion
of
what's
political anything,
or news events, anything. Yes. It was watching. Was it one day in the Old West?
Yeah, that one.
Then golf on the
The
commercials.
one that didn't have Chuko.
That one that didn't have Chuko and didn't have it
No
had
Blondie.
but it had Charles Bronson in it. So that what more do you want?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Bronson is a great one.
he is very good.
But grandma, truth on the American media,
Mm.
just lifting up fear and anger is their only go-to.
Yeah.
They don't have anything or know how to get folks to watch their BS news in the
Yeah,
USA. So fake
that's true.
at mainstream media. Well, I mean, news, CNN, during the first invasion of Iraq, that was a news station. By the time we got around to the second Iraqi invasion, these 24-hour, you can only present so much news. And then they started turning it into what was essentially um, punditry.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's true.
and they, and it's punditry with their own. Listen, if you're going to Fox News, you're going to hear punditry from one angle. You're going to hear MSNBC. I'm going to say MSNBC because they seem to take the furthest thing. CNN is
In the middle.
in the middle ish or trying to be, but you're going to watch the same a wrap up of the RNC. You're going to watch it wrap up on Fox, and they're going to talk about how great it was, and then you're going to watch it on MSNBC, and they're going to say that Trump was off script.
There's just too much opinion.
Yeah,
Too much.
There's very little news, and I think
it's like the fact is this much, and then the opinion is this much. Like it's totally out of balance.
Was it Don? To me, I will just vote, and it will be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The news is aseptic. They love drama and hate. They do.
Right. They feed off RPG Grandma, desire and anger, like the things that will destroy us all in the end.
And they know their time is limited. Okay, because this is their last. By the way, this is their last hurrah with Trump. If he gets reelected, he can't serve another term, and if he loses the chance to come back, he'll be too old to try again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is their last hurrah to make money off of Trump. The fact is, though, with Biden's another thing that making money off of now. Now that they've been given the green light from, and that's another thing too. The fact that every major news outlet turned on a dime from Biden being great to Biden needs to leave tells you, in my opinion, that somebody is pulling the strings behind the scenes. And your news is not your news. So
because how do you just pivot like that? It wasn't just, oh my God, the debate happened and wow, he looked really bad that night and ever since.
Yeah, so
it's a culmination of things throughout the years that they've turned a blind eye to.
So I always have been one to try to get my news from independent sources, or if you're going to get your news from mainstream, hit more than one source. I was always a 2 newspaper guy in New York City. And
yeah, that's true.
You can never read the New York Times on a bus, so I never bought the Times.
No,
I could
you
never
had to learn how to
fold it. I couldn't learn how to fold it. But back in the day, I would get like Newsday in the Post or Newsday in the Daily News, because Newsday would cover more Long Island news, more local news. The other 2 papers were a bit more dramatic in what they covered.
Yes.
But between the 2, that would be, again, bus trip to work. Maybe I'm still reading one of those two papers. I'd get to work while working retail, and then if it was a slow day, I'd have it at my table as working in electronics, and catch up, and then you'd pass the newspaper on somebody else, and maybe I'd trade my Newsday for a New York Times or whatever I didn't have, because that way you were more well-rounded. You could see that there were differences in the same story.
Yes.
Well, you can see that very much now, but nowadays, I have a difficulty sometimes telling which of my news is news and which of my news isn't news. Which of my news is fluff. Again, I've been accused of conjecturing. Listen, how dare Tenkar talk about Carl Brink's or the rats jumping ship? I thought it was a cute title. Oh no, no, that's not news. Listen, I presented the news, I presented the article, and then I said, now listen, here's some possibilities. I don't know whether he left on his own or not, but let's look at the evidence that we already have. They don't even do that on Fox. They don't do that on CNN. They
They
don't do
don't
that on
label
MSNBC.
their thing. Yeah.
You know, RPG Grandma. Yeah, they are control. They are controlled a lot of the networks. That's why everyone has so many jokes about their reporting.
Yeah.
Climbing that mountain, they've gone too far. They have potentially radicalized many people. A lot of people seem to be waiting for everyone else to go crazy before they act out some really dark fantasies.
Yeah.
Well, they pretty much just green screen and read AP stories rather than actually report it. So, and here's part of it too. Or I mean, how do you go back to 2020? Was it CNN or NBC Rach that had the fiery but mostly peaceful protests?
I think that was CNN.
How
Fiery but mostly peaceful.
When you do that with flames in the background as the city is burning, I can't take your presentation of the news as legitimate. And I think that applies to a lot of the people in this country.
Yeah, arson is violent behavior.
Climbing that mountain. I am bothered by this a lot of the time and try to avoid news because of it. Tammy, age is a number. I know people who are in the 90s who are so active they would never guess their age. We worry about people over 75 driving. People are different, so tests need to be taken. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And I agree. And I would here. Listen, I'm gonna make something that may be. I'm not sure if it could be popular or unpopular, but I believe that anybody in a government job, that doesn't just mean politicians. Anybody in a government job, in other words, a job being paid for by the people, should be required to take a yearly cognitive test. Okay? I don't see an issue with that. And yes, my parents are in their young 80s. They have an art school teacher who's in like her mid 90s and only just semi-retired from teaching art school now. Now she only had a class for her favorite students.
Yes, because she wasn't ready to surrender it fully. And
yes.
So she didn't want to give up her social life either.
So definitely, everybody ages differently. Similar to the way, listen, cancer treats everybody differently.
Yes.
All right. Age
and the treatments treat
everybody differently. So age, yes, I know. Age, they go, age is a state of mind. It certainly fucking is. Sorry. But as you get older, the chances are that your state of mind can deteriorate.
All right. And of course, like there's lifestyle factors that can contribute to it. So
eat more greens. That'll help you stave off some of the aging process.
So it's not a bad idea to have those cognitive tests,
especially
if there are lives in your hands.
Yeah. So, like the author Terry Pratchett, who many of us know from Discworld, co-author of Good Omens. Good Omens. If you ever catch the audiobook, it is amazing. Listen, I've read the book; it's great. The audiobook is amazing. The Amazon series is extremely good. A lot of fun. I think Sir Terry Pratchett passed, but he was hit with early onset Alzheimer's. He got hit in his late 50s. Okay. Now, I'm not even saying start testing in the 50s. I'm saying start testing in the 70s. You know, when it comes to certain occupations in New York State, law enforcement, police officers age out at 63. So you got right before your 63rd birthday, you got to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is that? Well, my father is in his 80s. He still lifts weights, still goes metal detecting. He's in great physical shape. He's probably in better shape than half the cops in their 50s. But he could not be a cop because it's in New York State. Certain states you could be.
Mm-hmm.
But why not why not test people once they reach a certain age? And again, I'm not saying every occupation, but if you are employed by the government, if the taxpayers are giving you money, so whether you're elected, whether you're appointed, whether you're a civil service, the taxpayers are giving you money. Let's make sure that they're getting what they're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think that that's a horrible way of looking at it, but it's a warning. It's going to get worse. Not the AIDS thing. The news. It's going to crank up as we get to the election, and after the election, the immediate after the election, no matter who gets elected, it's going to be the sky is falling from one side,
or the other.
Yeah, one side or the other, the sky is falling. And I've heard that fucking shit way too many times. I don't believe it. Anybody who thinks that if one president gets elected or the other, that
democracy is going to be over.
Democracy is going to be over, and their life is going to be threatened. I hate to say this, but you're crying wolf.
Right. It takes more than one person to to put this whole thing.
You know, you're crying wolf. There is a certain thing to remember is that thank God we are not a democracy. We aren't. We are a republic. We are a representative democracy. And the way that we are set up is to keep the majority from destroying the minority. There's a lot of checks and balances built into our system. All right, it includes the electoral college. That includes the two houses. It includes, super majorities. Even the 25 a president, you need 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate to go along with the 25th Amendment that would be requested by the president's cabinet to get somebody out. These are all little safety brakes put on
mechanisms for to avoid tyranny, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and also to avoid the idea that a majority of 50% plus one destroying or taking advantage of the 49.9%. That's not the minority. The way our government is often set up, the way a lot of laws are set up, is to protect the minorities. And that is not the same in a lot of countries.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, there's a lot of fear mongering on all sides.
Yes.
And this is again the election where it's not just two sides. It's everybody's picking out their little islands. I like to stay away from islands myself. Up to grandma, you're so sick of people's fake drama about how they are moving, going to die, be murdered, or unalive themselves, or have no children, or other BS because so and so won or might win. Done with the guilt. Yes, I've already unfriended people on Facebook that are constantly on that rant. I won't survive the year. if so and so is president. All right, whatever. That uh, that isn't that's not a reality that people live in. That might be a reality that certain news sources push, but that's not a reality. But you've got to That's the reason why I'm quieting my social media. And you know what? And back in 2016, I seem to recall that there was a plugin for Facebook that allowed you to turn off political posts. That was just hide
Oh,
political.
really?
And
It's gone now?
I didn't see it in the last election cycle
Oh.
because again, and this is no secret. When you talk politics online, you are talking politics online to virtue signal to those that are like minded. Nobody who disagrees with you is going to hear your ranting and raving on Facebook and go, "Oh my God, Tankard makes so much sense. I'm going to change my
What
vote."
have I been thinking all these years?
Nobody's doing that shit. All you're going to do is get people that think like you going, "Oh yeah, yeah, Tankard, you tell it to the man. You tell it." I'm not convincing anybody. I am just ramping up the people on my side. You know, if they can ramp themselves up, I don't need to be ramped up because I'm not consumed by politics. I never have been. I never will be. Archie Grandma. Yeah, it would be nice on Facebook again. And I'm assuming that Facebook uh, disabled. It was a third party plugin. I'm sure that they would not allow that because I am sure.
Oh, because too much. There's too much money at stake. From all these
Advertising
advertisers for
because
the candidates. And
what
whatnot.
brings you onto Facebook? Me, I go on there to talk gaming, right? I go on there to see things about gaming. I don't go on for politics. But if you're somebody who goes on for politics and you want to get involved in these fucking fights, it's addictive. And you stay there. And it is the endorphins start releasing. And you're getting into that, look at me. I told them, hey, I got a lot of attaboys. I got a lot of thumbs up and angry faces. And you know what? This is the matrix. Okay, Facebook is the first step into the matrix because they are manipulating your emotions to make money. It is that short. It is that simple.
Yeah, so they probably took it out for that purpose.
Probably they're not making that money. Climbing that mountain, something else that's important. In order to fix the CrowdStrike update, people have to turn it off for a little while. So a lot of important computers were undefended for short periods. Well, and that CrowdStrike thing is scary because if that can happen,
What is that?
CrowdStrike was a security update from a third party that works for Microsoft.
Oh,
update.
that's what that is.
And it goes, there could be a cyber attack coming if there was an intrusion during that period. Preparedness is key. The whole CrowdStrike thing is an example of what would happen. We've had outages before, right? We've had cell phone outages, we've had network outages, we've had internet outages.
Yeah.
But CrowdStrike struck worldwide. And it was a screw up. Somebody, one line. Well, all you need is one nefarious actor to pull this shit. So, just as an aside, I mean, Oracle, if you got a Costco, you can get food that will last you 25 years now in these wonderful, huge.
Your MREs.
Yes.
In the big bucket.
In your big buckets.
Yeah.
I already have some set up sitting in the basement in this house.
And under the couch.
But the reality is, you don't need a natural disaster to have a disaster. Okay? It doesn't have to be natural. It could be man-made. It could be stupidity. It could be a mistake like this shit. It
Hmm.
could be a virus. It could be civil unrest.
Many different things.
Many different things. Just always have the idea that, hey, my mindset's always been, if I have to lock down for a week, am I in a position to lock my family down for a week? Do you have enough cat food and litter? And those are things you got to worry about too. And
Hmm.
dog food and food for us. Just if it takes longer than a week, well, then all bets are off. But you got to figure that, you know, the world doesn't restore itself in a week. And it's not fear mongering. That's just, we saw it happen with CrowdStrike. I was expecting that we were going to have further issues,
Hmm.
supply chain issues.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I know that I had, well, these things were supposed to arrive on Thursday. And I got the notification from FedEx that they were arriving on Thursday. Then I got the notification they were arriving on Friday. And then I finally got the notification that they were arriving on today.
Oh.
So just not again, not fear mongering, but common sense. You don't know. You can have a blizzard, right? You can have a hurricane. You can have a tornado rip through your part of the country and destroy supply chains and
Yeah. Huge
food
power
sources.
outage.
Yeah,
You know.
so you always. I know how competent and incompetent government is, local government.
Mm.
And I know what a great job we did on 9/11, and I know
Yes.
what where we failed on 9/11. You know, just locally, you know. Uh, again, if you have a Costco nearby, the prices that I saw online for the food was really like half what you'd be paying if you were buying it online.
Mm.
I think it's Wise or something like Wise Market, or I forget the name of the company. But just there's something to put into your hat and think about, especially though, you know what, if you're living in an area that is very rural, or if you're living in an area that's
Like a
very
desolate place.
or very urban.
Mm.
If you're in the middle ground, you're probably better off.
Hmm.
But when you're,
So it's supposed to be in the suburbs.
it's
Then.
I think suburbs would handle it better. Cities can shut down. We saw what happened when we had that wind shear. A dozen years ago,
Yeah.
it shut down Queens. I I I attempted to get into Manhattan to pick up my son from
Mhm.
some training he had, and I had to call him and tell him it's not happening. And it this whole trip to nowhere, where I went a total of a mile and then parked my car a half mile from my house, took 4 hours. I know people in Atlanta a number of years ago walked 4 hours to get home during an ice storm.
Yeah, because they were not used to that.
So always have emergency supplies.
Mm.
Yes, RPG Grandma, I have some emergency supplies, but it's time to go through it all again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess you have to keep going through and updating and just making sure everything is
Yeah.
going to be good when.
So listen, we went a little bit over time, but you know, don't let the constant bullshit get you down.
Right. Learn it's we have to really like focus on like what's noise and
You're right.
pushing it
Do your
away and
do your own thinking.
where to get things.
Whenever a news network tells you something along the lines of, "We've got the information, but you shouldn't read it. We'll tell you what you can know," which one of them did a while back.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I think that was like like most news. It
yeah,
was,
either
oh well, you know,
you
there's
should.
this that happened, and well, we
We'll,
can't really tell you about it because it's just not fit
yeah.
for public consumption.
So
Our society can't handle it.
do your own thinking. This is your strongest tool. It's your strongest tool. All right. Your second strongest tool is the community around you.
Too right.
Because without you thinking and without the people that you can work with, you don't have much. All right, folks. On that note, be safe, be well. God bless. World is nice, world and well. Uh, I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. And it might be newsworthy. It might not be. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But if I spitball, I'll let you know. Later, folks. God bless.
Take good care. Thank you.